I'm a happy person. I'm generally a very happy person. And I learned a very long time ago that money is not success. If you are happy, if you can go to bed happy, wake up happy, just live your life, do what you want to do.
When you want to do it, with who you want to do it with.
That is success.
Hey there, and welcome to Above and Beyond, the podcast where excellence meets elevation. I'm your host, Jan Simon, and I'm here to bring you real, unfiltered conversations with the people who are pushing boundaries and building something bigger than themselves. Digging in on mindset, mission, and the moments that shape these high performers and purpose-driven leaders. Whether you're chasing your next level or just getting started, you're in the right place. This is more than a podcast. It's a mindset, and we're taking it above and beyond.
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Above and Beyond, where excellence meets elevation, the podcast where we dive deep into the minds of business leaders, community builders, and visionaries who are pushing boundaries and creating lasting impact. Today, our guest is a trailblazer in the payment processing industry and a visionary founder of Meritum, a credit card processing company which she has proudly led for over 37 years. With nearly 4 decades of entrepreneurial grit, she has built Meritum into a trusted partner for businesses across the country, delivering personalized service in an industry often known for anything but. Born and raised in Los Angeles suburb, at just 18, her spirit took her to Mexico City, where she taught English and immersed herself in a vibrant new culture, an experience that would shape her bold, people-centered approach to business. After returning to the U.S., she began her career in the travel industry before discovering her true passion in the world of payments, where she found the perfect blend of challenge, innovation, and service. In 2004, she planted her roots in Arizona, and since then has become a deeply engaged community leader. She served for 12 years as president with the St. Vincent de Paul Conference, is a proud graduate of Gilbert Leadership Class 23 and spent 6 impactful years on its board. Today, she continues her active involvement with the Gilbert Chamber of Commerce, where she plays a vital role in the Women Empowered Initiative and proudly serves as the title sponsor for the Chamber's Veterans in Business program. She is known not only for her industry expertise, but her unshakable integrity, infectious humor, and generous spirit. Whether she's mentoring a new business owner, advocating for local causes, or just rolling up her sleeves to help wherever it's needed, she leads with heart, purpose, and a relentless drive to elevate those around her. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce Leticia Barwick. Welcome.
That was very impressive.
Welcome.
I feel special.
Hopefully it sounds like you.
That sounds like somebody. I don't know if it's me. No.
Welcome.
I should also note, since we are Above Par Network, that I sit on their cabinet.
On the APN cabinet,
Mm-hmm.
Above Par Network. How long have you been involved with Above Par?
A little over 2 years.
Okay, awesome.
February was 2 years.
Okay.
I went to an event.
And got sucked in.
There was like 60, 70 people there. I knew 3. Yeah.
Really?
So I was like, okay, you know what? This is something I want to, this is BESO. Let's see what we can do here.
There are a lot more people and connections to make at that point.
So I was very intrigued.
Very cool.
And then I met Frank, and that was it. We had too much in common. Cigars.
Cigars, and more cigars.
Yeah. Even though he's a Yankee fan and I'm a Dodger fan, we can still get along.
Oh, Yankees. I feel like both of those teams are kind of like bandwagon teams, though. A lot of bandwagon fans.
Maybe. I say that about the Diamondback fans.
Arizona is very much a transient state. Mm-hmm. And if a team does well, you want to follow the home team, right? I will never be a Cardinals fan. However, if they were doing really well and the Seahawks were doing really bad,
Oh, all of a sudden?
I would root for Cardinals.
No, Cardinals.
I mean, I'd still be rooting for the Seahawks.
Sure.
But I'd root for the Cardinals. Diamondbacks, I was a Mariners fan when I moved down here. And then the Diamondbacks beat the Yankees in the World Series in 2001. That was an awesome series. I can still remember to this day where I was standing when Gonzo hit that little blooper into center field. Anyways, enough about me.
That's pretty funny, actually. But I will say this, since we're talking Diamondbacks. I've been here it'll be 21 years in June.
Okay.
I try to go, every time the Dodgers come in town, I try to go. And it always looks like Dodger blue.
Oh, I'm sure.
A Dodger game. This year was the first year that I've gone. We still look like a Dodger stadium.
Yeah.
But it's the first year that Diamondbacks actually had a voice. Fans that were actually rooting for them.
That's awesome.
So that was really cool to see.
Yeah.
It sucked that we lost 2, but we won 2.
Hey,
it happens.
50-50.
It happens.
You're
Our record is better.
I say you're still beating the Diamondbacks. The crazy thing is, it was NL West, right? NL West? Mm-hmm. That division is stacked, top to bottom, pretty much.
I don't know. Aren't the Rockies in that?
That's true. They're like 8-32 or something like that.
I feel really bad for that team.
I can't believe the Diamondbacks put up, 14 runs, 12 runs the other night and ended up losing to Colorado by 14-12. It's like, how did that happen?
I just have to imagine that the tickets there at that stadium must cost like $5.
Yeah.
Give them away.
They must have brought in the pitcher for the Diamondbacks. I don't even know who's pitching. But it's like, okay, if the Rockies can get that many hits off of you,
is it that boy?
You might go back down. All right. So Leticia Barwick.
Yes.
Tell me about Leticia. Where'd you grow up? L.A.?
Suburb.
East L.A.?
Hey,
we're recording this too. For all these, she gave me some sign language there, just so y'all know.
Okay, that's pretty fun. I forgot that we're recording. Because when I sat down, the first thing you said was, we're not recording, so don't worry about anything.
Yeah.
I grew up in the suburb of Los Angeles, Pico Rivera. It was primarily first-generation immigrants from Latin country.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful childhood. It was really nice. It was a really nice neighborhood. I always think of Gilbert, what Gilbert was when I first moved here.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's grown a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
It reminds me of that. I grew up in that kind of setting.
How far out of L.A.? Because to me, it's weird. Like in the valley here, I can drive from Gilbert to Glendale or Sun City or whatever, and it's like an hour and a half in the city, right? You don't ever leave anything. You don't know, oh, now I'm in Tempe and now I'm in Scottsdale or whatever. LA's the same, right? Yeah. You hit Pasadena, Riverside, and you're in LA, basically.
Yeah. Maybe not in the order you just said, but yes. So it's really interesting because I think of it as Gilbert, same thing, 20 minutes from downtown LA.
Oh, wow.
So it was nothing to...
So it was close.
Yeah. 20 minutes from the beach, an hour from Big Bear, which is the snow.
Wow.
So
that's cool.
Easy. Hop on a bus and same bus took you all the way to the beach.
No kidding.
So it was nice.
So you were there from basically born.
Right. Birth.
You were birthed there until you were 18? No, because you said you moved to Arizona in 24.
I moved
to
2004. Arizona. Yeah, I think I was 36, 37 when I moved here.
Okay. But when you were 18, you went south.
I went to Mexico City for a year.
Wow. Okay, so before we get to Mexico City, tell me about young Leticia. Were you sports? Were you a singer?
No.
Were you a skater?
No.
Were you with the outcast crowd?
I was a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Played sports until junior high and then got to high school and just started running with the rough crowd.
Oh.
So I was a smart kid. I was in honor classes, but then I was just having too much fun.
Gotcha.
It was too easy it was just easy. School was easy.
That's too bad. That's good.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Yeah.
When you get older, you realize, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Should have applied myself a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I should have
Not much.
done a little bit better.
So
but I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. So was your family first generation?
I'm first generation.
You're first generation. Okay. And so you said you grew up in a community that was first generation. Was English second language there? Was most of what you grew up around Spanish? Because you went to Mexico City.
So that's a really great question, Jan. So where I grew up, everyone was more like I am.
Okay.
So the kids were first generation.
Okay.
We all spoke Spanish. There were some that were second generation kids, but majority, I think, were first generation.
Okay.
We all understood and spoke Spanish. But that's not what we spoke to each other. It was
Gotcha.
always English.
Okay.
So
Okay.
is the reason why I decided to go to Mexico City, because I knew that I was not speaking it correctly.
Sorry. It's your. Should we give a shout out to who's calling you right now?
Yeah, Karen Hansen is calling with Pima Bank.
Come on, Karen. Know your audience. Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. I was like, all of a sudden, I'm like, what's that vibrating noise? Sorry about the vibrating noise, people.
Nothing inappropriate was happening.
No little vibrating pins
No,
going
and
on.
we have videos, so we have proof.
Yeah. All right. So, grew up in LA, a troublemaker. No? Okay. No sports
Only till junior high.
to junior high.
I played softball in junior high.
Softball? Okay. Did you spend time at the beach? Did you go surfing?
No, we spent our summers in Mexico primarily.
Really?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
A
Did you have
lot.
family down there?
Yeah, so my mother had all her family. My mom's from Michoacan.
Okay.
So we would go back to her village.
Okay.
And we did that a lot. Like we spent summers there more often than not growing up.
That's cool.
And then my dad is from Puerto Vallarta. So my parents split up when I was 11, so we didn't get to
okay.
go there too often. But I try to go back now whenever I can. I still have a lot of family there.
You have family there too? That's cool.
A lot of family.
So when you go back to Mexico to visit, do you then stay with family? Do you try to not stay with family?
It varies.
Yeah.
But normally I'm visiting someplace I haven't been. I have made it a point in the last 4 years to go to Puerto Vallarta every year.
Okay.
And I'll just make a point to come see somebody, see family, say hello. But I don't stay with them because I'm being a tourist
Gotcha.
and doing stuff.
Gotcha. Okay, so 18, you went to Mexico City to teach English.
I went there not knowing what I was going to do.
Okay, you just went.
I went. My idea was I would go there. I would learn Spanish. I would really learn it, learn how to speak it properly.
Okay.
I knew how to read and write,
Okay.
but I wanted to learn the mannerisms. I wanted to really learn Spanish.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to go for a year. You don't know what you want to do. You're 18. You're kind of lost. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. So I went. And 2 months in, I was bored. And this is a very inappropriate story.
Oh, I like that.
I was bored one day.
I'm drinking, so go ahead.
That's okay. And I told my uncle and my aunt, who I was staying with, that I wanted to get a job. And they were telling me, you can't. You have to get a sponsor. You have to get a business that sponsors you. You have to, like the way it is here. And I was 18. And so I looked at them like, what are you talking about? And they're like, no, you have to do this. There's steps. It's really difficult. And I seriously looked at them and said, wait, all these Mexicans come over to the United States and get a job. I think I can get a job.
Yeah.
I told you, very inappropriate.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I went out, I got the paper, and I saw an ad that they said they were looking for someone that knew how to speak English. I'm like, oh, that's me. Keep in mind, it had been 2 months. No internet, no cable, nothing. No one to speak English with. I got there. They wanted to hear me speak. They just looked at me and they said, oh, you weren't born here. And I said, no, I'm from Los Angeles. And they're like, okay, you're hired.
Oh,
Yeah. And I got a raise every paycheck. I recorded stuff. I taught the little rich kids private lessons.
the cartel.
Maybe, and I didn't know. I was 18. I know. I got lucky.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then I came back.
That's awesome. So did you live with family when you were there?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. I did.
Okay. Any crazy stories while you were there? Anything crazy happen, or did you just like you were little Miss Librarian Leticia?
No, I was 18. I was enjoying life. You could drink there.
Oh.
I would teach from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Then there was a break from 11 a.m. until 3.
Huh.
And then we taught from 3 to 7. So I had lunch in Mexico. You can go, they have happy hours. It's 2 for 1 and they feed you for free. It was just, 18-year-old can get in a lot of trouble in Mexico.
Gotcha.
So
Is that where you found your love for tequila? Or did you
Probably.
have that before you got down
Probably
there?
in the blood. That's funny.
That's awesome. So then after you were in Mexico City, after you taught English, you came back.
I came
What
back.
what made you decide you were going to come back after you were there for a year? Were you just done with it?
Yeah, I went
Did
with
what
the
you
intent.
did?
Yeah, I went with the intent that I'm going for a year.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
So at the year I came back. And then there, I decided I wanted to get into hospitality travel business. So I went to a 6-month course. I learned the travel stuff.
Okay.
And then I immersed myself in travel for a couple of years. In school is where I met a young man. It's always a boy that gets you in trouble.
Always.
And he could sell anything. Those people that you just meet and they just have a way.
Yeah.
So he got into credit card processing. And keep in mind, we're 19 years old. This is back in, 1990, something like that. And he was making $10,000, $15,000 a month
Wow.
back in those days.
That's a lot of money.
So we decided, we were together, so we were like, all right, let's start a company. I was still working. He was doing it full time. And then it got to the point where I needed to quit my job and come work. And then we did it together for a long time. We broke up and we still worked together. It was fine. And then eventually it was time for me to move on. I split off and started my own company. And I like to tell the story because I think it's funny. I was doing, at the time, we used to do mailers. My first mailer was scheduled to go out on Friday. The Tuesday before that, my ex-husband, but at the time, boyfriend, David proposed at 10 a.m. And at 10 p.m. that night, we were getting married in Vegas.
Oh,
So
my gosh.
we started the business and got married the same week.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Wasn't stressful
you've
at
been
all.
dating him like 5 days?
2.
Oh, okay.
No, it'd been longer than that.
Wow. Okay. So I didn't realize that. When you started Meritum,
It was a different name. We went by F&B Financial back then, but in essence, it's the same company. Fregoso, my maiden name,
and Barwick.
and Barwick.
Okay. Okay. I was trying to put that together. I'm like, where does the F&B come from?
Okay, so I'll tell you something funny. So we did our logo. We did everything. We see my older brother, as older brothers are. We show him the logo, and he says, "Oh, you named it after my sister, the F&B."
Oh, God.
You can edit that out.
Oh, I like that. I like that. So let's take it there for a second. Brother,
Yeah.
how many siblings do you have?
We are a total of 7 children for my dad.
Okay.
So I have an older brother, then it's myself, and then I have a younger brother, Victor, who passed away in 2021. And then my dad had another family, and there I had 3 additional sisters and a brother.
Okay. Okay. Victor passed away, so obviously he's not in the picture anymore, but do you stay in touch with your siblings?
I see Joe. As it is, you grow older and
Yeah.
you have your lives. And I see Joe. Joe was just here this last weekend.
Okay.
Was it this weekend? Mother's Day? Or was it the weekend before?
Yeah, a couple weekends ago.
Whatever it was. He was here. We went to Dodger game, of course.
Why not spend Mother's Day at a Dodgers game? You got nothing
It was
better
the
to do.
day before Mother's Day.
Oh, okay, okay.
We spent Mother's Day with Mom.
I hope so.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. So now we're in credit card processing.
Yes.
Talk to me about credit card processing. Talk to me about stepping into that, what that looked like, getting it going, as far as obviously you had somebody who was there already doing it, so there was a little bit of a mentor there. What was that influence like? And now 37 years later,
Yeah.
you're still doing it.
Still doing it. He retired about maybe 5 years ago.
Okay.
So the interesting thing is when I got into this business, we were converting everybody from, do you know what a knuckle buster is? Those old school, you take an imprint of the card. So back then, merchants would actually take those slips into the bank, and that's how they got paid. So it was an easy sale, and really back then it was about equipment.
Gotcha.
So we were moving everybody to electronic processing. And there was no cell phones, there was no internet, there was nothing like that.
Yeah.
When we got into the business, that idea that somebody would be processing mobile on their with their hand didn't even seem like it was possible.
Crazy.
Yeah, just unheard of. So it was just different. And back then, again, it was just about selling equipment. And then I want to say maybe in 1999, 2000, it became about residuals, which is when you're making a cut of what's being processed.
Okay.
I'm sure the banks and the company we were working for were getting residuals, but we were not.
Gotcha.
So we ventured off and we've had agreements with a lot of different banks, and that's where we started, probably about 1998, which is when we ventured off with another bank, started making residuals. It was crazy. In my 20s with him, it was nothing to work 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
And we were We had salespeople. We were putting on 150, 200 accounts a month.
Wow.
It was insane.
Wow.
But as much fun as I had, and I don't have a lot of regrets over it, my biggest regret would be the loss of time with family and friends.
Yeah.
So when I ventured on my own, I told David, hey, I don't want to do that. I don't want to hire salespeople. I don't want to go after the dollar like that. Let's just work and do things. And that's why we never hired any salespeople. We've had salespeople that are 1099. You work or not, that's on you.
Yeah.
But back then we had them with the draw. It was a lot of work. I give people that do that credit. I just don't want to do it. I'm not that greedy.
Yeah. Yeah. Build a big enough business that it supports you, does well, allows you to do what you want to do.
Yeah, we're lucky. We've lived a very blessed life, and we never wanted for anything. So
That's awesome.
I just feel like that's perfect.
Yeah. And you get to go to Dodgers games.
I get to go to Dodgers games. Of course.
Both here and in LA.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you go there all the time.
No, but I do go. I went to all the playoff series, not to all the games, but I went to the first and second. And then I was there for the World Series, the first game when Freeman hit
Nice.
the home run, the grand slam. And I could have gone to the next day to the game, and I was going to the airport. My friend looked at me and she said, I have a ticket. You want to stay? I looked at her and I said, why? Everything I needed to see as far as World Series, I saw last night. Nothing is going to beat what I saw last night. So I was done.
Yeah.
If I never go to another World Series game, I'm okay.
Really?
I think it's going to get ridiculously expensive. Dodgers have a big payroll.
Yeah. Yes, they do. Yeah. When you're buying championships, it ain't cheap.
Listen, I had nosebleed seats. They were not the best seats, but I was there.
Yeah.
It was $1,200.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So
Oh, wow.
I can't even imagine what it's going to be this year.
That is crazy.
So, yeah, no.
That's crazy.
But I did it once. And it was an important one.
There you go. Yeah.
And as a Dodger fan against the Yankees, growing up in the 70s, which that was our biggest rival.
It was your only rival, wasn't it?
pretty much.
Maybe the A's.
Yeah, it was fun to play the Reds. The Reds were fun to play when you had Pete Rose.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
We know it wasn't the Mariners ever.
Oh, I didn't even know the Mariners existed. How old is the team? Have they been around since the 60s?
10 or 15 years old? I don't know.
I'm sorry, Jan. That was not very nice.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Some of us have to root for losers.
But here's
Actually,
my
they're doing okay this year.
Are they?
Yeah.
What, they won 10?
Maybe 11.
Here's my thing. If you're a fan, be a fan, whether they win or lose.
Yeah.
I don't like it when it's like they're losing and then you get pissed off and you're not a fan anymore. I just don't, then you're not a real fan. That's the way I see it.
Yeah. I can see that. I get upset.
That's okay. It's okay to get upset. It's just not okay to stop being a fan.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Then you're not a real fan.
I guess I'm not a real fan then. I don't know. Anyways, hey, growing up, getting into the position that you were in your early 20s, was there anybody that you can think of, whether it was a teacher, a parent, a relative, that had an influence on you that kind of directed you or helped your thought process with regards to wanting to be an entrepreneur? Or did you always feel like you were the smartest one in the room and didn't want to listen to anybody else?
Aren't we all like that?
Not me.
No, I'm teasing. Actually, it's interesting, my childhood, because my dad and my uncle were very much entrepreneurs. And ever since we were little kids, they're always doing some kind of side hustle. Whether it was cooking something, and then as kids, we'd go knock on doors and try to sell it. We did a lot. And at one point, they actually owned a restaurant together. And they sold it when my parents got divorced. But I remember being 10 years old and working the counter and cleaning the tables. It was a small little place. Mm-hmm. But I had cousins that owned businesses, and then I'd work with them. Honestly, growing up, there was entrepreneurship everywhere. So it was a given that that's what I was going to do. Mm-hmm. That's where I was leaning toward. And I find it really fascinating because there's family that I hadn't met in a different part of Mexico, and we just met them in December. We went to their town, and my uncle there has, I think it's 4 kids. All 4 of them own businesses.
Oh, wow.
Multiple businesses.
Wow.
And then in Puerto Vallarta, my grandfather had 3 kids with my grandmother, And then he had, I don't know how many kids with his second wife, but there was a lot. There was a lot. But again, they're all entrepreneurs. They all own restaurants. Their kids own restaurants, taxis. They're all entrepreneurs. It's rather fascinating that my dad's side of the family is very much like that.
Yeah. So like tequila, it's in the blood.
It's in the blood. Like Dodger Blue.
Back to the Dodgers again.
We bleed Dodger Blue.
I would argue that they probably don't bleed our Dodger Blue down in.
No, I do. They don't. But no, I just feel like it was just meant to be.
Nice.
I think there's just something there.
Okay.
That just
led you there.
Very natural. Very natural.
Were there any times along that path, that 37 years? That's a long time.
It's longer than a lot of people listening.
Start age. Yes. Oh, my goodness. When I start looking at lineups of the NFL and stuff like that, and those kids are younger than my kids, and I'm like, oh, God, I'm old. All right. But I digress. Back to you, and not me and my age. Along the way, as you were developing the business, do you remember any times at which you started to feel that what you knew about the business or how to run a business or to be successful was being extremely tested, and that you were at that point where you're like, I just don't know that this is worth it?
I think there's not one business owner out there that can say that they haven't felt that at one point in their life. And if they don't, they're lying. Because even
That's
now...
a very good political answer.
No.
I'm digging for the dirt.
No, listen, I'm 37 years in.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, I was like, I'm going to sell all of the properties. We'll move to another state. We're done. I'm out. I'm just tired of this. It happens. For me, I just know when I have those moments, I need to process for a day, and then tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah.
It becomes yesterday's problem.
Yeah.
So it happens to all of us. It's how we handle it that matters.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, 37 years in, and 2 weeks ago it happened.
It's interesting, and I'm sitting here stammering over my words, but I feel like there are, and I don't know if it's I don't eat enough at certain times of the day, my blood sugar's jacked up, but there are times where, it's what am I doing? What really am I doing? Why am I doing this? What am I doing it for? I could go to work for somebody else, probably make more money. Mm-hmm. I would have less of my own time, but really I'd probably have more time.
I don't know, and I think it's a give and take, because I get your point, but I think that we suffer as entrepreneurs between the first 3 to 5 years. Then if you don't have it together in 5 years, then get out.
So after 37 years, you're saying you got it together?
Yeah, so for me, it was like after a certain time period, 37 years is a long time.
Yeah.
I think if we wouldn't have been successful within the first 5 years, I would have hung my hat. Mm. But there was no option.
Yeah.
You just move forward.
You just keep going. So building a successful business, whether it's just you and a partner or it's you and multiple employees, what would be like one thing that would be a misconception of somebody who doesn't own a business versus somebody who's been there and owned a business?
That it's easy. Most people, I will tell you that people think that all I do is go to happy hours and do lunches.
Well, that's all you do, isn't it? That's all I ever see you do. And smoke cigars.
It's a misconception. And go to Dodger games.
Yeah, and go to Dodger games.
It's a misconception.
Yeah.
And travel.
Yeah.
That's people that's all I do. Mm-hmm. And no, I actually spend a lot of time working and following up and computer work, and there's paperwork to do.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest misconception. People think that it's easy. People think that an owner doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And an owner can't be successful or where they're at if they're not doing the work.
Yeah.
It's not easy. You know how many hours you're putting in.
Oh.
More than we're seeing.
Oh, absolutely. And it's interesting because I've had conversations with people where it's, you get to go party. Mm. You get to go play golf. You get to go take people to dinner.
When you were working for someone?
Yeah.
Got it.
You get to go do these things. And it's, yes, but I'm on. Mm. I have to be on my game. If I'm having drinks, there's a limit I know exactly where that limit is most of the time, and I cut myself off, right?
Right.
I'm always looking for that interjection into a conversation to be able to relate with somebody, if you will.
Find a common ground.
Find common ground. So those are the things that I think people, from my perspective, and maybe that's a sales thing, maybe that's a business owner thing, right? Where it's like we're trying to develop relationships over the long term. And so, yes, I may go play golf, right? But the people that I'm playing golf with, I'm trying to establish relationships with.
Exactly.
And it's not belittling the fact that I'm out there playing golf with them. It's not belittling the fact that I'm having a good time, but there's a means to the end, hopefully.
It's not about the transaction, it's about the relationship.
Exactly.
And most people don't understand that.
Exactly. I wish I didn't have to sell insurance policies to make a living. I wish I could just go play golf and do all the fun things. But then I also wish I didn't have to do all the paperwork, right? When I go spend 4 hours during the day to play golf, and I got to make that 4 hours out someplace else.
And at the end of the day, it's still tiring.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I enjoy doing the check-in at an event, a social event. I get to meet everyone. It's exposure for Meritum.
Yep.
I get to, you're out there in front.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, you're working.
Yeah.
And by the time I'm done with check-in, which is maybe an hour and a half, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm tired. And not physically tired. You're tired of being on because it is a
It's
job.
exhausting.
Yes, it is.
I can tell you one of my most favorite things, I had to think of how I needed to say that. One of my most favorite things that I've done in the past is when the chamber has had events and they've had a bar, hosted bar or whatever, and I've been able to serve, whether it's beer or wine, because people come to that table, right? People want to come. And me and my personality, I can just be dumb and stupid and silly. And it's fun.
You?
No, not me. But it's that thing, right? Where it's like that is an interaction. It's a forced interaction. Same thing with a check-in at a table.
Exactly.
They have to come to your table. They have to talk to you. It's not like going to a networking event where you walk in and there's 100 people and you're like,
You're intimidated to go talk
gosh,
to
I don't know
someone.
any of these people. Oh, there's somebody I know. I'll go talk to them. So anyways.
Yeah, that can become a little rough. But I think, again, with time, we all learn how to jump into conversations with people we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Find common ground. It's easy.
Try.
It's tiring.
Hey, I see you have a Dodgers hat on.
I did a presentation today at the Queen Creek Chamber, and trust me, I got a lot of crap for it. I've had people grab my hat and throw it across the room.
Oh, really? That's mean. I would never do that.
I know you wouldn't.
I might make fun of it, but I would never throw it across the room.
Yeah, I had someone do that.
You'd have messy hair.
Yeah. Cap hair.
Yes. Were there ever moments along the way where you felt alone on the journey? And how did you handle that?
That's a hard question to answer because of my personality. So I learned really young, or at least I taught myself very young, to rely on just myself. So yes, there have been times where I feel lonely, but it's very natural for me. And it's very difficult. Let's just say it's very difficult. Let's say something happened right now. I got a devastating phone call and I start crying. Your instinct is going to be to come hug me and comfort me. Instinct is going to be to push you away.
Okay.
So I'm not someone who likes to be comforted, and that's been a little difficult. Yes, many times I have felt alone, but did I cause that just from my personality, from my preference, or was I really alone? So that's why it's a little difficult to answer the question.
Yeah.
But sure, I think every business owner at some point feels like nobody's going to understand what they're going through or what's going on. Moments, frustrations. Let's face it, you have clients, I have clients. I'm your client.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've called you. And I could feel like we hung up and you probably went and took a shot of tequila and said, I'm only having tequila because it was Leticia. Damn it. No, it's difficult. Yeah. And sometimes it becomes very difficult when we're friends and we're doing business together.
Yeah.
But I also believe that's where you're going to see the friendship. Because you and I have had very serious conversations.
Yeah.
We've been very personal for many years. And you had an employee that was causing me problems. And I didn't want to rock the boat. But then at one point it was like, okay, she's messing with me. And this is my friend. And maybe none of us are telling our friend what's happening. And it was a difficult conversation to have with you.
Yeah.
But as your friend, I had to. And I prefer to be honest with you because I want to do business with you. And I'm sure, like, for you on your side, you probably thought, thank you for being a friend, but it was a tough conversation.
Oh, absolutely. And it's interesting, I think, because I feel we don't want to put people in a position of being uncomfortable, but sometimes being uncomfortable is what we need in order to get us to the next step. And it might be in a situation where we're having those conversations in our head going, is there something there? Am I seeing something? Am I not seeing something? Should something be different? Whatever that is. And to be able to have somebody say something, maybe not necessarily the exact same thoughts or feelings that you're having, but to say something and you step back and you say, okay, maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe there's something to this. Maybe there's some merit to this. And and I can appreciate that. And I think what's interesting, and I've thought maybe sometimes because as a man.
Wait, can you do that again?
As a man.
That was better.
Excuse me, as a man. I feel like we're taught not to express feelings and not to show weakness. And so sometimes from a business owner perspective, you start going down these paths of, holy crap, I don't even know what to do anymore. But I can't show it. I can't bear it. I can't whatever. And I think, I don't know, it's interesting that you say you would push people away. I'm almost the opposite, where it's like I just want that coddling, like just somebody just tell me it's going to be okay.
Okay, so let me back up a little bit. So in fairness, yes, my personality is very much and I've always told people, if you see me cry, it's serious, because I'm someone that will hold it in, keep that smile, and just go in the corner and cry later. That's just me. But I think it's very important as business owners that we have business friends, because if they don't, we all have friends that are not business owners. They're not going to understand what it is to own a business. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But they're not going to know those challenges. So I've been very lucky that I have really good friends that I can sit and have a conversation with. I had lunch with you on Friday.
Yeah.
I sat there and told you business stuff that happened to me.
Yep.
Because I needed to speak to my friend, a fellow business owner, and I needed your input. So I'm very blessed with many friends like that. I'm blessed that we're friends.
Yeah.
And that's sincerely.
Thank you.
And you and I have had many conversations.
Yeah.
And I have a group of girlfriends that are business owners, and I've had many conversations with them. So it's not like I never talk to anybody about stuff. It's just that emotional aspect
The way
of
you
it.
process the emotions. Yeah.
It's different.
And see, I'm just a crier. I just cry. I'm just no.
Jan, I've never seen you cry.
You haven't?
No.
Oh, thank God.
I've known you how many years? Now it's going to be everything I do to make you cry now.
That is amazing.
Are you serious? You're a crier?
Oh,
Stop.
I cry at commercials on TV.
Okay, so that commercial, the one that got me at Christmas time was the stupid Kroger, the fries commercial with the little dolls. And the song was like, this is for all the lonely people, and the little kid looking through the window and all that.
With the grandma or whatever they ended up
Oh,
having
my
over for
God,
dinner,
that got to me. I was like, what the hell, man?
That's funny. Yeah. No, I am. I'm an emotional person. I'm very much an emotional person. But I'm also I think, and some people probably argue against it, I think I'm a very logical person. So when I need to be logical.
Dude, you don't cry?
I probably still cry through my logic.
Did you cry at the end of Sandlot?
Oh, yes.
When he's a Dodger?
Great. I cried because he was a Dodger.
No, the ending of that, I always get teary-eyed.
It's a great show.
Just,
I went to a Diamondbacks game recently, Above Par Network. We actually, Waste Management, we got to go. It was awesome. Shout out. And I wore my Sandlot. I have a jersey, a Sandlot jersey.
seen it.
For Yaya. However you want to say Yaya. Anyways, it's funny because I had multiple people as I'm walking through Do you call it the concourse? The stadium? I don't know. The hallway? Who would stop me? Oh, are you going up to the sandlot? We have a sandlot here.
Oh, that's right.
I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
no,
funny.
I'm not heading up there.
That's
but
funny.
Multiple people. Are you heading up to the sandlot? No.
That makes sense, though.
So it's pretty cool. Great movie, by the way.
Great movie.
Awesome. Not that I'm promoting any movies on this show. Not yet.
We can't afford it.
I can't.
I'm sorry.
That's funny. All right. What's the hardest conversation you've ever had to have with somebody? And how did you deal with it?
That they smelled. I'm kidding.
I wore deodorant.
I'm kidding. No, that's a great...
Actually, I left the house, forgot to put on deodorant this morning. I had to go back.
Honestly, off topic, but on topic. When I was in the travel industry, I was 20. I was a manager, and not in my department. There was this young lady who just had a problem. And that's why I thought of that, because a co-manager had to have that conversation. And when someone talks about difficult, I always think of that. And that was 37 years
It's
ago.
a hard conversation.
And
we had
that's tough.
when I was in high school, we had a foreign exchange student live with us for a short period of time, a couple months maybe. And she was from Spain. And I don't think she believed in showering. She would literally just put on more
Perfume?
And
Not a great combination.
Yeah, I think my mom had to have a conversation with her. I can only imagine that was a tough, but it's
I don't know.
okay. So have you ever had a tough conversation in business? Have you ever had to
have.
fire a client?
Yes. I have a horrible story about that.
Can you share it?
Yeah, I'll share it, but it's not going to make me look good.
You don't have to share.
I'm not
Don't
gonna
share
say
their
who it was.
name.
No, I'm
Don't
not
share their
gonna
name.
do that.
But if you feel comfortable,
I had a client, and this, just know that I know that what I did was not the best way of handling it. But in 37 years, it's the only time I've ever done it. I had a client that got upset, and I couldn't even tell you what they got upset about. I just don't remember. But I was trying to fix her problem. And then she was referred to me by someone that we both knew, just a friend. Nothing related with business, but she knew my affiliations. And so what she did was she said, I'm going to call XYZ, basically my affiliations that were part of how I got my money, like where I was making money. She basically threatened my livelihood.
wow.
And I tried to calm it down. I tried. And then she kept going on and on. And I very nicely said, I think we need to just hang up and let's revisit this tomorrow. She wanted to keep going.
Really?
So I got really upset. I got pushed to my limit.
You broke.
Yeah. And I said, you know what? You're done. I'm done. I'm canceling your account right now. You better batch out, because if you don't, you're losing your sales that are in the machine.
Oh.
I hung up. I called the bank and had that account closed. And within 30 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Remind me never to push you to your limit.
Yeah. She pushed me to my limit. I'm telling you, it's a story that doesn't make me look good.
Yeah.
But I really did get pushed to a limit, and I had to. I didn't have to. It was a moment.
Yeah. I think I would say, venture to guess, everybody's been there at some time. I had a client, business owner, pain in the butt to work with. Just pain to work with. But I did my best. Premium was good. Revenue was good. And I did my best. But it was like pulling teeth. I was like, hey, we need this number. Why do you need that number? Because that's how it works, whatever. He needed, I think, a certificate of insurance. And you've known me for quite a while. I'm a pretty calm person. And really...
I think you're one of the calmest people I know.
Oh, thank you.
And I mean that.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that.
Thank you. Very much.
I don't think I've ever seen you mad.
I try very hard to not be mad. And I try to withhold that because I just feel like we all have circumstances, right, that have led us to certain situations, whatever. Anyways, he had called me for something, and I don't remember what it was. Anyways, we started getting into it, and I happened to be in the office of where I was working at the time, around, 8 or 10 other employees.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, no, listen. And I try to explain it. And pretty soon I could feel my voice go ticking up. Pretty soon I'm yelling at this guy on the phone. And everybody is staring at me like, oh my God, Jan is losing his mind. I was so pissed off. I finally, literally at the end of the call, said, you need to find another agent. I'm sending you a non-renewal notice right now. And but it was one of those, because he just wasn't listening and he was arguing with everything I said. I couldn't even tell you today what it was about, but I just remember feeling this.
What became of that? Did he end up leaving?
Yes.
He did. Okay.
Yes. In fact, I probably still have his file, and I would, if he called me today, no way I'd write his policy. Mm-hmm. And it was really good premium, really good revenue. No way.
Some people are just not worth it.
No way. The stress. There's some people too, right? I do my very best to help people understand what they should have. I try to get people to understand it's not my job to save you money, although I know that's what's important to you. I get it, because it's important to me. I don't want to pay my insurance premiums. Right. They suck.
Especially right now.
But my job is to make sure you're covered. So I'm going to ask you questions to make sure that I walk you down this path so that we can figure out what it is that you need. I can't tell you how many times people get upset with me. Nobody's ever asked me that question, or why do you need to know that information, or whatever it is. And I'm just trying to help you.
Figure out what your needs are.
And if you buy from me, awesome. If you buy from somebody else, if you stay with the agent you're at, whatever. Obviously, it's hard to lose a deal, especially when you've spent a lot of time on it.
Okay, so I have a question on that.
Yeah.
So when you do lose that deal because you overeducated,
yeah,
how do you feel?
Like I've wasted time.
Because that's a common thing for me.
Yeah. I would say those ones probably upset me more than the ones where I don't spend very much time, like talking about coverages and things. When I try to get people to understand, this is why we're doing what we're doing. Not because I want to sell you more policies. If you're a restaurant and I don't talk to you about wage an hour, I'm not doing my job. So if you don't have it and I have that conversation with you and I teach you what it is and then you decide, oh, I'm just going to add it to my policy. It's like, wait a second. Your agent in 10 years has never talked to you about that. Yet I educate you on what it is and you decide you're just going to add it to that policy because it's easier.
Welcome to my world, Jan. Or they take your quote and they go back to their insurance company and they say, yeah, oh, I'll beat that.
Yeah.
Oh, really? So you've been overcharging me for all this time. And then you, Mr. Merchant, Mr. Business Owner, is still going to stay there?
Right.
After they've been screwing you? And I told you how to save money?
Yeah. I helped you understand where you're getting screwed, where you're not covered properly, whatever it is. Employment practices liability is a huge one right now. That's things like sexual molestation, hostile work environment, not sexual molestation, but sexual harassment, hostile work environment, and things like that, wrongful termination.
Welcome to my life, Jan. That's what happens all the time.
And I talk to people, I'm like, look, what does it cost to retain a good attorney in your world? Right? $10,000, $20,000, $50,000?
Yeah.
If somebody alleges that you inappropriately talked to them at the water station in the office, how do you prove that you didn't do that?
How did they prove, though, that they did? It's
the burden of proof is on the person who was being alleged to, not the allegee. So now we're in a situation where we start talking about that and we're like, wait a second. We could be sitting here in this room together and you could say, oh, Jan inappropriately touched me.
Jan touched my foot.
Yeah, he's playing footsie with me.
Yeah, he's putting his foot on my
and I just pulled my legs back. Okay. But it's that thing where it's, how do I prove that? And that's, now you come to defamation of character and all those other things, but it's like, how do I prove that I didn't do anything wrong or I didn't do something malicious?
And that's the thing. Once you're accused, you're just screwed. And it doesn't matter. Even if you're proven right, you're always going to have that little stigma.
Yeah. So we talk to people, it's like, look, this is important. And people say, oh, you're just trying to sell me more coverage. No, I would say it's probably the number one coverage outside of auto insurance or cyber liability that you should have. Anyways, I'm digressing.
I think we're just talking.
Yeah, it's fun. But So yeah, I just, where you have to have those hard conversations. Was that the question I asked? I don't
Yes,
remember now.
it was. And I think that, yeah, so one of the hardest conversations I have to have with someone is when they don't understand why I'm asking for their social security number, all their personal information, and they're an LLC or a corporation.
Yep.
And they think that they're just covered.
Yep.
When you open up a merchant account, you are basically being given open-ended credit because you're able to run anybody's credit card for any dollar amount. Now, if you run a card for 20 grand and you normally do $20, it's going to flag. You're going to have to prove it.
Okay.
But you're able to run it. It's going to get approved. We might hold it because we want proof of what you're doing. I had a guy that was a magic store in Los Angeles, and his average ticket normally was $150. And then one day he ran a charge for $10,000.
Ooh.
So it flagged.
Yeah.
Risk was like, hey, what's going on? I called him up, and I sold my car.
Oh.
I'm like, you can't. You can sell magic supplies.
I charged the guy $10,000 with a credit card for my car.
Yeah. So I'm like, you have to refund it back and tell them they have to pay you another way.
Yeah.
And so those are tough conversations, but people do not understand. Otherwise, imagine we can just all go open LLCs, corporations, and then just start doing fraud.
Yeah.
And the best way of looking at it is, and this is what I tell people, what are you worried about? Unless you're going to commit fraud, what is the problem here? Because basically what you're signing for is that you're saying that if you're going to charge me $100 and your clerk makes a mistake and charges me $10,000, that you're going to give me back my money. So are you not? No, of course. Then what's the problem?
Yeah.
If you're not going to commit fraud, the only way that's going to affect you is if you commit fraud.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to sign it, then you know what? I don't want you as a client. You're probably going to commit fraud.
Probably, yeah. And I've had those conversations as well.
Yeah,
I'm like,
happens.
look, and sometimes people figure out, they call it the game, right? Insurance being rated on receipts, revenue, payroll, square footage. They'll figure it out. And if it's not audited, the different things. But it's those things where, you're like, look, if you're not trying to hide something,
Then what's the problem?
then why are we having an issue with this?
Probably as a merchant, that's probably the most difficult conversation. Or, of course, when they're declined, that's never a fun conversation.
Oh, yeah.
But they usually see it coming because they know something that they didn't tell you.
So I have a question for you, and this is going to take us down a road that will probably bore half of our listeners, all three of them. But I'm curious about this because I'm in a field that I deal with this on a fairly regular basis. You're in a field that you actually probably do as well.
Okay.
So one of the things, a type of coverage that we sell is cyber liability or data breach. Okay. One of the things that I run into when I have conversations with, let's say, restaurants, they've got their point of sale system. And they'll say, we don't have any exposure for cyber liability. I said, actually, you probably have a huge exposure for cyber liability.
If you're doing Wi-Fi, internet, anything like that,
Right.
you're
And then they say, but our credit card company covers that. I'm like, they might cover you for the charges, but nothing else. Can you help me? And I'm sorry, listeners, right now, I'm going to digress. Can you help me understand how that works on the credit card side?
merchants have to do a questionnaire every year. It's PCI compliance. And they get asked and they get, depending on how they're processing, they get scanned. Basically knocking on the door to see if we can hack into you. Vulnerabilities then have to be fixed. But they're not protected. They need to have your insurance because most of the protection out there is only like 10 grand.
So little.
It's very little.
Yeah.
And when I get asked the question, I'll tell them, like, you need to get insurance. Depends on how they're processing. But I will always tell a merchant, you really should get insurance for this because you need to protect yourself. There's a data breach. Oh my gosh. You have to send letters to everybody. You have to get them ID.
First party or third party notification is probably the most expensive part of the whole thing.
Yeah, it's just not.
It's interesting is I actually did a presentation. Gosh, this is probably going back 10 or 12 years ago now, but I did a presentation on cybersecurity. And there was a gal in the networking group that I was in that owned a secondhand store, and she had 3 credit card terminals. And so I'm like, okay, what's the average daily run of your credit card terminals. We figured it out. And I went through and plugged in the information and just was like, okay, just your store alone, secondhand store, whatever it was. And I don't remember how many transactions. It wasn't very many. I'm saying like
Minimal.
20 to 50 transactions a day, maybe. Okay. We figured out that in order to do just third-party notification, so that's just the notification that's required to be sent out to everybody to say, hey, we had a breach, it was $180,000.
Oh, my goodness.
Just for 1 month of transactions that run through her store.
Oh, my gosh, Jan, I can't even imagine how much insurance would cost for something like that.
Yeah.
And she's minimal.
Right.
Imagine a restaurant,
Yeah.
a big chain restaurant.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to mention a name. We went to a restaurant the other night. It was packed. And they're turning tables probably every 15 minutes, nonstop for 4 or 5 hours. You think about that and the amount of transactions. And those are just credit card transactions. Somebody comes in and hacks that. They can't. Oh, yes, they can.
You'd be shocked.
How many restaurants have you been to that they have the handheld terminals right there? Those little Bluetooth technologies that they've got in there, or the wireless technologies. Yeah, anyway, so.
No, people, they need to get that insurance. And I tell people all the time when I'm asked.
Yeah.
Because they're only covered like 10, 20 grand. It's not a lot, the PCI coverage. They're paying minimal fees. It's not going to cover much. No.
Anyways, okay, so we've digressed there. Let's get back to you. Is there anybody in your life, currently or past, that you feel like you're still trying to prove something to as far as your success goes?
No.
Awesome.
I have to be honest, no.
Yeah, no, I love that.
No.
That's awesome. How do you define success?
Happiness.
What does that mean?
If I'm happy, I'm successful.
Nice.
I learned, and I hate that someone said this to me one day, but I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. I'm a happy person. I'm generally a very happy person. And I learned a very long time ago that money is not success. If you are happy, if you can go to bed happy, wake up happy, just live your life, do what you want to do.
When you want to do it, with who you want to do it with.
That is success. Even if it means sitting in a trailer park, having a $2 cigar with water.
And a $1 beer.
Yeah, with water.
Remember back in the day, did you guys have them down in LA? I don't know if you did. It was a white can, and it was just black lettering that said beer.
No.
Yes, we had that.
Is that real?
Dead serious.
Okay, I expect
it was either that, not either. The 2 beers we purchased when I was in college was that one, white can with black beer. Anybody who's listening, comment. I want to know if you've had.
Jan, I want a picture tomorrow, and it has to be something that doesn't look like AI.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to see if I can find something.
Oh, because that just doesn't even sound. And I'm older than you, so that doesn't even sound
Not
real.
that much older.
A year, but no.
Yes,
I don't remember that.
It was like just a generic.
No.
I don't remember what we called it, but it was a white can with black beer on it, and then Keystone Light, which I probably shouldn't say the name. I don't even know if Keystone Light still exists.
I think so.
But that was the cheapest beer we could get, Keystone Light.
Are we not allowed to name brands?
I don't know. Everybody says that, and I'm not trying to monetize this.
Yeah. No, when we were kids, it was. I don't think I ever had anything that said beer.
How about Mad Dog?
No.
You don't know what Mad Dog is?
No. We used to buy Old English, but
Oh, the big 40s?
Yes. We used to do that. And
What about Bartles and James?
No.
You didn't have Bartles and James?
No.
Wine coolers?
We did wine coolers. We did my back then at 18, I used to like to drink Lowenbrau, the light one.
Oh, yeah.
But no, nothing that just said beer.
I used to, when I fought forest fires.
Oh, look at you. When I used to fight forest fires.
When I'm the firefighter. When I repelled out of helicopters. No, so I would drink, do you remember Wide Mouth Mickey's? Green bottle?
Yes.
Big old Wide Mouth. Wide Mouth Mickey's. That's what I drank when I fought forest fires. I don't know why.
That was the thing. Was that like a fireman thing?
I don't know. I just that was what I always bought. Wide Mouth Mickey's. Don't know. Couldn't tell you. No clue.
That's hysterical.
But that's what I drank. We used to go to a place where I fought fire in northeastern Oregon.
How long did you do that?
6 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Why'd you stop? You moved?
I was given an ultimatum.
Oh.
I was on a fire in central Washington, and 2 people perished on the fire, 2 firefighters. And that was before there were cell phones or anything like that. And when I got home, I think she was my girlfriend at the time. I don't believe we were married. And she said, look, I don't think I can handle not knowing whether or not you're safe.
Okay, so it was a personal ultimatum, not a business one.
Correct. Yep.
I thought you were going to tell me that you sexually harassed someone.
Nah. No, I didn't. That I remember. Anybody out there? I can't remember.
It's in the past.
Wait, I'm trying to
Don't recall.
I don't recall.
No,
I do not remember having sexual relations with
with that woman.
Yeah, so anyways, I forgot where I was going with that.
We were talking about the beer that you used to drink.
Oh, the beer that I used to drink, yeah. Fighting fire.
Was that cheap?
It must have been. I wasn't making a lot of money.
Were you volunteer? I guess you were.
No, I was paid. It was for the Forest Service.
Okay.
I did wildland firefighting.
Would you have stayed, if you wouldn't have gotten the ultimatum, would you have continued to do
Yes.
that? Oh.
I loved it. I actually loved it. And really, truly, the last year that I fought fire, I was in the Cle Elum Ranger District, which is in central Washington. And there were 2 guys that were on the trail crew. And the trail crew is basically just that. They go up into the wilderness, they go up into the mountains, they make sure that the trails are clear, windblown trees come down, whatever. They'll do search and rescue missions and things like that. And these 2 guys did that. And they would either be on fat-tired motorcycles, snowmobiles. I don't remember them having quads, but they had horses and pack mules, and they'd head up into the wilderness for 2 weeks at a time.
Wow.
And I always thought that would be really cool.
Wow.
I'm thinking back now, I'm like that it had, and I'm not saying the ultimatum is the thing that did it. Like, I always felt like there was something more, but I did really love it, and I was in stupid good shape.
I have a cousin who's a firefighter. He's a captain in Los Angeles, Culver City.
Yeah. All we did was, in essence, work out. I woke up every morning, ran 5 miles, and then if we were waiting around for a fire, we either went and cut underbrush someplace, cleared stuff. Always manual labor, or if we were sitting around for the day, we'd be working out. It was just like, this is what we did.
So how'd you get into insurance?
Yeah. So, interesting story, and it's not about me. This is supposed to be about you, but now you're interviewing me.
Here, go. It's a flow.
Yeah, so let's go with the flow. So I went to school to really just to get out of school. I went to school for fitness and sport management.
Okay.
I wanted to do strength and conditioning, and I was working for a company making about $8.25 an hour. Had a young daughter at home, and
I was going to give you your first
needed to
grandchild.
make money. Somebody said, hey, you ever thought about insurance? I'm like, no.
How old were you?
Oh, gosh. I've been in insurance since 96. So
Oh.
I was 27.
So here you are telling me about how 37 years
25.
is a long time.
Yeah. I've been in insurance for 30 years,
That's a
basically.
long time.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been in for a long time. And I've tried to get out multiple times. I almost went to
They
Mesa.
keep pulling you back
Yeah,
in?
he's pulling me back in. Almost went to the Mesa Police Department once,
Okay.
which is funny because Frank almost went to the Mesa Police
Yeah.
Department. We could have worked together.
Right. That would have been funny.
Almost went to Mesa Police Department. I've had a couple other opportunities, and now it's what I know, and I really enjoy it. I enjoy the relationships.
So that's the thing. So people look at insurance, credit card processing, and they think, oh my gosh, that's boring.
Yeah,
And there's truth to that.
yeah,
But I really enjoy what I do.
yeah.
And I feel like you really enjoy what you do.
I do. I love thinking about things in probably a bad way to say it, but catastrophic terms, which is bad. What's the worst thing that could happen to you, and how do I put something in place that will potentially reduce or alleviate?
Protect you.
Yeah, alleviate the problem. And then when I get
a lot easier than yours.
yeah, and then when I get the phone call on Saturday night, hey, Jan, got a problem. I'm like, ah,
Oh, so that's a good question.
I hope I did it right.
So, you just said something. So, when you sign up a new client, do you tell them before you call the 800 number or do anything, call me first if there's a problem?
I try to get people to call me first. Technically, we need to report everything.
I understand.
But there's things that happen where it's, look, that's going to cost you $2,000. You got $1,000 deductible. It's going to stick with you forever. 5 years, 7 years, whatever it is, depending on the line. It might make sense if you can afford it to just take care of it yourself.
Absolutely. Listen, before we knew each other, we had a condo that had a water leak. It was a $2,000 repair. I had no idea. We're new to, I've never had a claim.
Yep.
And so we were like, all right, we'll just do the claim. Oh my gosh, that water damage, that $2,000 that I could have paid has haunted me for years.
Yeah, it does.
It's, oh my goodness, it's over 10 years. Get off of me already.
Yeah, and the thing that's crazy, and I will give a shout out to Bob over at Best Option Restoration right now.
I love Bob.
I'm going to peg him in this episode because they do that. They have those conversations with people. We're like, look, let's talk about this. And he is very ethical with how he deals with stuff. And I feel like there's a lot of restoration companies out there, not throwing any of them under the bus, but there's a lot out there that understand how the game is played. With insurance companies say, oh, we need a dry down. Okay, we're going to take 4 fans. We're going to take a dehumidifier. We're going to put it in the room. We're going to leave it there for 2 weeks. We're in the desert. Does it really need to be 2 weeks? I don't know. I'm not an expert. Bob's great. That being said, claims can stick around for years. And if you have 2 weather-related claims in a 4, 5, 6, 7 year period, you become uninsurable or super expensive, or they exclude that coverage specifically. And so I love it when clients call me and say, okay, hey, here's the situation. How do we deal with this? What should we do? Obviously, as an agent of the carrier, my job is to tell you, you need to call the carrier and make a claim. And then I take that hat off. And I probably shouldn't say this on the air, but I take that hat off.
You have to, though.
And I say,
not on
okay,
the air. I just mean that's what you have to do.
Right.
You take your hat off.
As a friend, here's how the system works. Now, you need to make the decision, and you need to tell me what you want to do. The policy tells me that you need to report the claim in a reasonable amount of time. That's one of those fun lawyer speak words. What's reasonable? I don't know. Today, tomorrow, next week? We need to be able to mitigate the damages. So if the damages aren't getting worse, we should probably report it within a few days. So it gives you a couple days to think about it. You got a water leak, toilet overflowed, maybe some tile, maybe some drywall. What's that going to cost? If you're in a position to be able to take care of it yourself, and those are the conversations we have with clients where we're like, look, if something happened today, what are you comfortable with your deductible? Is it?
What's the common number?
I would say $1,000 is probably where most people put their deductibles these days. Yeah. And realistically, I personally, if you have a home that's of any value and you're an established individual, I'd say $5,000 or $10,000 deductible is not unreasonable.
That you were going to say.
Yeah, because there does come a point where the value doesn't make sense, where you say, okay, if I'm paying $1,000 deductible versus a $2,500 or $5,000 deductible, how many years of premium is it going to take me to get to that? That's where you kind of do some fuzzy math and you say, okay, this is what it is. But if you've had a home and really you're going to turn in a claim if the toilet upstairs overflows while you're gone for the weekend and it floods the entire house, or the house burns to the ground, or whatever. Yeah, knock on wood, exactly. Dunk, dunk, dunk. Then yeah, a larger deductible makes sense. Insurance is not there as a maintenance program, and too many people think of it as a maintenance program. So anyways.
And I do want to, I'm glad you mentioned Bob. I love Bob, but it's important to know companies like that, because we had a water leak in one of our rentals, and we had a restoration company come in. somebody that we network with, will be unnamed.
Yeah.
And they turned what should have probably been a $2,000 to $5,000 claim into a $50,000 claim. And that's not what we wanted.
Yeah.
But when you don't know,
Yep.
you don't know,
Yep.
which is why it's very important to have a relationship with your insurance agent. It's
Yep.
the same thing. It's important to have a relationship with your credit card processor,
Right.
because if you're just a number, guess what? You're just a number. That's an advantage.
And sometimes
Yeah.
I would assume you could potentially pay a little bit more, or you could potentially have a little bit higher processing fee or whatever. But being able to have that relationship, I think there's something to be said for that.
There's value in it.
Again, my job's not to save you money. My job's to make sure you're properly covered. If I can save you money along the way, awesome. I know that's what you're focused on.
Totally. And things come up all the time. Let's just say, I probably shouldn't say this on the air either, but let's say, Jan, you were my client and Tommy owed you $5,000 for a job you did 6 months ago. Tommy hasn't had the money and you've been like, Tommy, you got to pay. After 3 months, it's considered a collection.
Yeah.
With credit card processing. So let's say you normally run a couple $1,000s and you run this big transaction, it flags. I get reached out and say, hey, your customer did this. I'll call you and say, hey, Jan, what was this for? And then you tell me Tommy owed me money 6 months ago. I'll say, all right, give me the invoice, but date it in the last 30 days. Don't date it 6 months ago.
Gotcha.
Because you won't get paid. So those are things you need to do. And a lot of times, Tommy is somebody that I know too.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're trying to screw anybody. It says, I understand how things go.
Right.
But if you don't, you're just a number. You're just a number.
Yep.
And it happens.
Yeah.
And it's really important. You don't realize how much you need someone until you're in the catastrophic moment. The house is burning down. You don't think it's important to have your agent.
Yeah.
Or you don't care if you're a number.
Yeah.
When everything's perfect, guess what? The house burned down. You would have preferred to call Jan. Same thing with me. Guess what? There was fraud. You prefer to call me. I don't want to be a number.
No, absolutely not. You don't want to sit on hold
No.
waiting for somebody overseas to answer that may or may not speak great English, that may or may not understand exactly what you're trying to say. And then you say, I need a supervisor. And they say, okay, just a minute. And they put you on with somebody else who's basically the same way. And you want to pull your hair out. You want to smash your face against the brick wall.
It's the thing. We are both I'm dealing with people's money.
Yeah.
You're dealing with people's homes, their livelihood, their businesses.
Right.
So it's
the same.
I don't think people understand the value. I just don't. And I think that's a missed thing. You're the owner. I'm the owner.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a bank that is backing me up. You're backed up. So we have to respond to somebody, but we have a lot of say too.
Yeah.
And we can step in and mitigate that
Yeah.
and make it better.
Have you ever had a situation where you knew that you were right? You knew that what you were doing was the right thing. The client was wrong, and what they were asking for was in excess or inappropriate or whatever. Not inappropriate. That sounds weird. But in excess. And you went above and beyond and went...
To help them? Or
yeah, to help them. To help a client. Or did something where you're, like, for instance, I had a client that we had an auto policy, and it was a commercial auto policy, and one of the things that was important to her was glass coverage. And I gave her glass coverage, but it was for a deductible waiver for repair, not for replacement. And there's only a very few number of companies out there that will do it for replacement on larger vehicles. Anyways, I ended up paying for three windshields for her. So is there anything time where you're like, you've done something right, the client may not agree with what you've done, but now you've had to step up and go, okay, I'm just going to eat this to try to make it better?
Yeah, that's happened quite a bit. It happens in business, and everybody tells you didn't, they're lying too. It happens. It happens. Yeah. Nothing comes to mind really quick right now, but I know that stuff has happened. I know that I've had situations where the bank was wrong. The processing bank was wrong. And I know that they're wrong. And I have a client that is getting screwed. I have paid it out of my pocket because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I have paid the client, made them whole, and I walk away from it. And they usually will end up referring me because they saw what I did.
Yeah.
And they know that I was the one that paid for it because they're copied on everything. And so I'm like, no, that's not right. And in fact, I had a situation last year that it was horrible. It was a horrible situation. It was a small merchant. I don't want to name names of like companies, but the company she was processing with before had them open a bank account through them. It would be like if I had you open a Meritum credit card bank account, and we couldn't deposit into their account. They were blocking it. And so this poor merchant, it's a small little merchant, is trying to process, and they weren't getting anything. And everyone was pointing at each other. In the meantime, I have to deal with this person that I don't network with directly, but we know a lot of people. And I'm like, this is just BS. This is ridiculous. So I'm fighting. She goes to collections. It's a horrible situation. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to step in. I stepped in. I paid everything they wanted her to pay. Keep in mind, she never got $1 and they were charging her. Okay?
Oh,
so I'm like, this is just ridiculous. So I paid everything that they wanted her to pay, and I gave her everything she processed.
Oh, wow.
So she was whole. So then I went to the convention. And holy hell, it was hell for them. Because I sat them down and I was like, explain this to me. I got my money back.
Yeah.
Because I ended up being, but sometimes you have to step up and eat it, even if it means that you're not going to get it later.
Yeah.
I'm a true believer that you just have to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's going to cost you
That's awesome.
because whoever's backing you doesn't see it
Yep.
the same way.
And too often, in both of our worlds, when we're dealing with organizations that are quite large and they have people that are working for them sitting at a desk, they're limited to what they can do. And so we may be asking, and they may know what we're asking is what should be done, but they're like, nope, can't do it. Nope, can't do it. I truly believe everybody's got a little bit of that human nature inside of them.
Of course.
That they would be able to, oh yeah, you know what? I don't want to deal with this problem. Let's just make it go away.
You want to stump someone, say, stop telling me what you can't do and tell me what you can do to help me.
Yeah.
And then the conversation gets turned around.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what you have to say, and I've
awesome.
done that many times.
So do this. Give me a pitch on Meritum. Why would I choose Meritum? And I haven't done this with anybody yet, but I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, why would people want to deal with Meritum over, I don't know, whoever, their bank, whatever?
I think, so first of all, credit card processing is general. It's a regulated industry. So there's a misconception out there that if you process a lot or if they're a bigger company, there's better rates. No, we're all on the same playing field.
Okay.
It's just how we mark up our product. That's what it comes down to.
Okay.
So really, I have lower overhead, and I purposely did not hire salespeople. I purposely did not grow my business large because I wanted the one-to-one, and I wanted my time. I'm selfish. I wanted to be able to travel when I want to travel. I want to be able to do what I want to do. So what makes us different is that we give the personalized service. Think about it, Jan. If you're I had a client that used to text me. She used to do her books on Saturday nights and would text me at 10 o'clock at night on Saturday. What if I'm at a wedding? But the thing is but I would answer.
Yeah.
If I was available, I would answer. And if you're with the bank and you're a number, can you do that? No. And I'm very much a supporter of local and family-owned businesses.
Yeah.
So if you believe that, we are your perfect solution.
Gotcha.
Our pricing is lower than most. Maybe sometimes we're not, but the value that we're going to bring, the fact that you can text or call me, and if something goes wrong, you can show up to my house and we're going to have a conversation. There's value to that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of value to that.
For sure.
And I don't think people see it sometimes. I was at a networking event. It was at the chamber. I covered for someone. I subbed for someone in their referral group. And I got a really big laugh because the gentleman stood up and said, hey, if something goes wrong, you can come knock on my door and I'm going to be the person I just said right now. Probably stole it from him. And when it came to me, I laughed and I looked at him and I said, hey, maybe you shouldn't say that because on my bucket list is to bitch slap someone. So maybe I just want you to piss me off so I could do it.
So you show up and you're doing it. That's awesome. That's awesome. You've mentioned California and Arizona. Can you do business in all 50 states?
Yes.
Okay.
And I do have clients in various states.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. Hey, I've really appreciated this.
I had fun.
We're taking one step further. Okay. I need you to pick 3 numbers between 1 and 20.
All right. Let's go with 12.
Okay.
7.
Okay.
And 16.
Okay. Here's what we're going to do. This is our session that we call the pressure point. I'm asking you 3 rapid fire questions.
Okay.
You got to throw out the first thing that comes to mind. First number you gave me.
Dangerous.
That is very dangerous. Keep it clean.
All right.
This is a family show. Not really.
Okay.
All right. Number 12. How do you stay grounded when things blow up or blow up in your favor?
I don't even know how to answer that. I just did I'm done. Can I pick another number? I don't have an answer. I would have to say, as I mentioned earlier, I tend to withdraw.
Take time to withdraw.
Yeah.
Breathe.
I have to just step back. And that's really hard for anybody who knows me and knows that there's something going on because they want to fix it.
Yeah.
But I just need time, and time will fix it.
I'm the same way. I feel the same. I literally, sometimes I just need to step back and have a drink. I don't know.
Have a shot tequila.
You got 60 seconds to inspire a room. What's your message?
Damn, what numbers? Should I pick different numbers? Yawn.
These are good questions.
Damn, I have 60 seconds.
To inspire a room.
That's a hard one for me. No, I don't know that one. You're going to have to. I'm stumped there.
Okay.
What would you answer to that?
Would I answer?
Yeah, curious.
I would probably say, no matter what, life's going to kick you in the face. It's going to knock your teeth out. It's going to knock you down, when you're down. You got to get up. You got to get up. You got to keep taking steps forward. Even if they're scary, even if you want to quit, even if you want to give up, take a step. Because the more you take steps forward, the more success you're going to reap.
And you just did that on the cuff right now?
Oh, I just made it up. Yes.
Seriously?
Yeah.
No,
Your sign language needs help.
that's really good. See,
Thank you. No, I just feel that. But
I love it. And that's very genuine of you. And I love that.
Yeah.
I don't think you didn't mean it.
No,
It's
I totally mean that.
This is where I tell you, I wish I could. That's just, you're inspirational, Jan.
Careful now. Careful.
Your head has to fit through that door.
I know. I got to get out of here tonight. Okay, last question.
Yeah.
You answered this one already.
Did I?
But I'm going to ask you again. What's one misconception people have about success?
That we don't do anything and it's just easy.
Yeah.
That's the thing. People think that we just wake up in the morning. People think that. I think that's the biggest misconception that people have about business owners is that we are just out and about. I had someone tell me today, oh my God, I see your pictures everywhere. You're everywhere. I'm like, it's an illusion.
Yeah.
It's an illusion. I have to work. Of course, I'm not everywhere. I spread my pictures out. I do what I need to do to stay present. But obviously, that's not all I do. It just looks like it.
Yeah.
It's a perception.
It's a ton of work. I think that is the biggest misconception. And maybe I just haven't gotten to that point yet.
What are you talking about?
I remember people used to say, you are at everything. Like, yeah, there's different people at everything. So of course I'm at everything.
That's so funny you say that because I tell people that all the time. I'm like, go to the happy hours, go to the luncheons, go to the golf events, go to the cigar events.
Yeah.
Every one you go to, you're going to find a different group.
Yep.
And you're foolish if you stick to just one.
Yeah. There will be commonality. But I can tell you, I have found, and I love people. I love meeting people. I love learning about people. Obviously, the reason for doing this podcast is so people talk to me because they don't want to talk about insurance, which is fine. But to be able to say everywhere that I go, number one, I love walking into a restaurant and having somebody know who I am. Sitting down.
You're one of those.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that's narcissistic or
A
what
little
that
bit.
is.
Am I going to see your picture next to the word in the dictionary?
I don't know. There was a story floating around at one point that I was...
What?
Never mind. We won't go down that road.
No, we have to. You started it.
Oh, no. I was at lunch with the mayor in a very popular place in town.
Okay.
And we were having conversation. And somebody took a photo of the back of my head and circulated it on social media saying that I was scheming with the mayor to take care of people.
Are you kidding?
And no. I called Chief Solberg. I'm like, Chief, this is going around. He goes, I knew that was the back of your head. I'm going to start laughing. He goes, if anybody is going to take care of somebody in town, you're the last person I would call. I don't know if I should take offense to that or if I should be flattered.
I don't know we should take that.
The fact that I'd be the last person you call. But anyway.
I don't know. Like if there was a knife fight, I don't know if you'd be the guy that I would call to be fighting with me or the one that would be in the getaway car to drive us away.
Let's put it this way. I could run faster than you.
I have short legs, dude. So I've only had 3 fights in my entire life, physical. 2 of them was because a friend was getting there. It was just a bad situation and you had to step in. And one of them, it was just because I got attacked, like verbally attacked, and I couldn't help it.
Can't take it anymore.
No, and I just was young, and that's what happened. And
It's a little Irish in you coming out.
this little Mexican girl. and it's sad because years later I saw her, and she had a scratch on her face from the fight. Yeah, and I saw her after high school. It happened in junior high, and I saw her after high school.
And she still had it.
And she still had it. And I was like, oh that sucks.
You
Sucks to be
scarred
you.
somebody for life.
It's okay. But I'm still waiting to bitch slap somebody, so get in line, Jan.
There you go.
That could happen.
Could happen. Could happen. Hey,
I appreciate
Leticia,
it.
I really appreciate you coming on. I've had a good time, good conversation. Hopefully everybody out there's had a good time listening to our conversation. I don't know.
Eavesdropping.
Yeah. If you care to, we'd love it if you like, share, and subscribe. Share it with all your friends.
I don't know, Jan, but I want to see you succeed.
Thank you.
Thrive, and I'm excited to see where you go in life. It's
Thank
always
you.
been very genuine, and this was just fun conversation.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you, and thank you for all of that.
I am Leticia Barwick, and I have gone above and beyond.
We truly thrive.